Hello. So I'm not sure what I'm doing. I don't even know what's going on. So this is a test, and I purposely did it at 1 a.m. because I figured there'd probably be nobody on. So I'm going to try putting it up on my phone so I can get an idea of what it looks like. Or maybe I think I can see the chat in here and people chat, right? Just give me 1 second. It's not like anybody's going to be on it this time, anyways. I only got a few subscribers. Your channel. Yep, I got it. This feels very awkward sitting here talking to yourself. It says I'm live. That's scary. Okay. Oh, and there's a delay. Okay. So, anyways, I wanted to test here to see. I don't know how to do it. I might have to wait till somebody can come on to help me or ask questions. Look it up on YouTube. I wanted to figure out how to, if I ever wanted to add somebody on here to join me, um, how to check chat, but that I'll have to wait till someday when I actually have people on here. Or if I wanted to share a screen. I don't know how to do any of that stuff yet. So I got on here. I have used this on Facebook before. You want to know what sucks about Facebook that I'm glad you don't have to do on YouTube is that, well, on Facebook, what you have to do is you can go live on Facebook, but you can see the comments that people write to you. Oh, I have to turn this down. I can hear myself echoing behind me. So on YouTube, what you have to do is people have to give permission, like say to Facebook, yes, they're allowed to see my comments before they can see the comments. So I know very, very little about StreamYard. I don't know how to like add people on here or anything, which I would like to because I sell Color Street. See, so I sell Color Street snail strips, and I use it to sell my stuff online. But I would like to do when I do a party is have the person come with me and join me while I sell. But anyhow, I'm rambling because I'm nervous, even though I'm here awkwardly talking by myself. So I figured since I just rambled on for a few minutes for nonsense, so if anybody comes back and replays this, I would be shocked. But if anybody comes back and replay this, I'll say one of the reasons why I started Spirit Talk. So one of the reasons was um, I'm a reverend at a church. We're a pagan spiritualist church. And a lot of people come up to me and tell me their experiences that they've had of different things that they've heard, they've seen from either loved ones or things that happen in our house I don't understand about. And I was a paranormal investigator for over 15 years. I didn't give up doing it. It's just that life with the church and everything has gotten pretty busy, and I just haven't really had time. I have hearing loss, and I really think it's through all the years of listening to the audio that I have trouble hearing now. So I need to train somebody to listen to audio if we want another investigation, anyways, because I damaged my own ears. But anyhow, um, and this is the reason why I even started before I came on my journey and my path to where I am today as becoming Reverend Iris. I had a lot of life experiences happen to me, and there's still a couple to this day that I don't understand what happened or what I experienced, and I would like those answers too, to be honest with you. But and other people have experiences that they would like to share too, like. If I tell somebody I've seen a UFO before, which I did, I don't think anybody believe me because they didn't, except for my aunt who was with me, and the craft was down low and I could describe it to a T, and it was only like 10 o'clock at night right above my house in downtown. So anyway, so you have experience to have to, and you want a place to share where they're not going to judge you and you have like-minded things. Well, let me share a couple things that happened to me when I was a child. The first experience that I can remember, I was probably about 10. My aunt had passed away. So the night my aunt had passed away, she came to me that night, and I was confused. I wasn't with her when she passed, but my mother was, and her other siblings were there, and her children were there actually too. She passed away at home. She had terminal cancer. She had lung cancer. She was 30 or 31. She was really young, so she had 5 little ones. Um, I thought I heard a noise. It's 1 in the morning. I hope everybody in my house is sleeping. But about, I think it was around midnight or something. So back then, and nowadays you guys would freak out, but back then, I was 10 and I was babysitting, okay, for my mother's best friend's 2 little kids who were in bed sleeping. So after they went to bed, they went out to the bar that night, um, to because they're sad, I guess. So, anyways, they had me babysit, and while I'm sitting in the living room watching, this is when HBO very first came out, so I was watching HBO. I have no idea what was on TV or anything like that. All this is all I remember. I just remember being excited because they had cable. We didn't have cable at my house. We still have the black and white TV with the rabbit ear antennas. Shows my age. So in a corner of the room on the right hand side, um, I saw my aunt come down. It was like her body from like the waist down was like hanging down, and she had her arms out, and she was saying, "Help me, help me." And I was a kid and I was confused. So I went up there to went to go try to grab her, but obviously I couldn't. But the part that was really strange is that she didn't look the way I see spirit today. Now when I see spirit, it's mostly shadow and the rest of it is in my third eye. And I think she might be the reason why I'm afraid to see faces. So I can see spirit, but I do not see faces too well. Um, but she was kind of like a gold color. All right. She was kind of like a yellowish gold color. She wasn't like the white spirit like we see nowadays. And I'm not really too sure why. So still to this day, if anybody has that answer for me, please explain this to me. Only thing I can think of is I'm pretty sure that the reason why she was saying help me was because she was sad. She just passed away and she left 5 little ones behind. One of them was still in diapers, and she was probably scared. And why would she come to a 10-year-old like me? Probably because I'm the one that's seen her. She probably went to lots of family members, but I was the one that happened to see her. So that's the reason I think it's because she hadn't crossed over yet. So maybe that's why she was that color. But I've seen spirits since then that hasn't crossed over and they didn't look the same as it did that time. But when you're a real young kid, you can see them more clearly. So I don't know. Maybe that's why. I'm really confused about that. So honestly, I would like to know. Let's see what else happened. Oh, so many experiences. Oh, so when I was about this one might make me cry a little bit. So when I was 17, I had my son. He passed when he was 3 months old. Okay, so when I was like 7 months pregnant, um, there's this there's a young girl, a family that lived like 2 houses down from where my mom lived, where I was living with my mother at the time, and me and my boyfriend, who's my husband now. Um, we were over there visiting because we used to hang out because they had teenagers our age, and the mom was really cool. But so we were hanging out there, and this little girl, I remember she was about 10, 11, maybe. She's on my Facebook, and I never even said nothing to her about this to this day. So she said randomly one day, "Oh, I can interpret dreams." And the night before, I had the strangest dream, and I didn't really understand what it meant. So, as kind of joking to a little kid, I said, "Okay, well, this is a dream I had." Well, the dream was I was in labor in this room, scared. My family was there, but they weren't there. They were kind of like off into the distance, but they couldn't really see what was going on. Matter of fact, there was like a veil, well, now I envision it as like a veil, but it was like what the hell do you call that? That cloth, the doorway cloth thing to the separator divider. I don't know. I can't think of it. But anyways, so my family was there but wasn't there. And this little girl comes walking in the room. And she was short with blonde hair. And she kept telling me, "It's okay. Everything's going to be okay. You'll be all right." And I don't remember really what else she said, but she had silver eyes. Silver eyes. There was no color, no nothing, just glowing silver eyes. Kind of like almost like headlights, but they were silver. I can't describe it. It was a beautiful color. But anyways, so I tell this little girl this. This is what this little girl says to me. She says to me, "Your baby's gonna die." Just flat out, "Your baby's gonna die." Freaked me out. So let me tell you, the rest of my pregnancy, I was scared. And so I had him. Everything was okay. Everything was fine. But anyways, he ended up passing 3 months later after his birth. So I remember always thinking, I don't think she really interpreted my dream, but I think she had a message to me, and she probably didn't realize it, but spirit came through her and relayed a message to me. So that was very strange. So let's fast forward now, like 2 years, maybe three tops. I was living at my mother's house. So I had moved away, but then came back and rented the downstairs apartment. And so I ended up having another child by this time, and she was 2. But anyways, I remember this. This was October 30th, I think, because I remember we were. Well, I'll explain to you in a minute. So anyhow, I was walking down the street by the bridge, back from a friend's house who lived literally right up the road. And I was going back home to where my future husband was, and some lady was driving down the street. Now that I think of it, she was driving the vehicle. My dream vehicle is what she was in. I've always wanted a Nova, an old Nova car. Anyways, she was driving down the street in this Nova car, and it was a brown, which when we were kids, I'm pretty sure when I was like 6 or 7. The reason why I always wanted Nova is because my dad had one, and I just thought it was the coolest car, and it was brown. Now that I think of it, but this is the part that just doesn't make sense. So I happened to turn my head towards the road while this car was going by, and this lady locked eyes with me in the car. She had long, pin straight brown hair, very long, and we only glanced at each other for seconds, but it seemed like minutes. And she had the same silver eyes, the same silver eyes. I'll never forget that. So, anyways, I get back to the house, and I was young and dumb, and I had friends over, and I was probably like, I don't know, 19 at the time. So we had friends over, and they're talking about, witches night, blah, blah, blah. And I said, "Oh, guess what I seen?" And I explained that story to me. Of course, they did not believe me, because the next day is Halloween. So they assumed that I'm lying. But now that I'm older, I know the veils are thinnest and it's easier to see spirit. But still to this day, I don't know if it's my spirit guide that's always been with me, or I'm not even really sure. But those were 2 times I seen silver eyes, and I've never seen them ever again. I did see a gold halo though behind some guy, and let me tell you that story. That's why I'm saying I have experiences that are weird, but this was a beautiful gift to see actually. So my grandfather was passing away up in Massachusetts, and he had Alzheimer's, and he wasn't doing too well. And my mother had said, "Will you take the ride up to Massachusetts with me? We live in Connecticut. So will you take the ride up to Massachusetts with me, to go see my dad, to see how he's doing?" Because she got the call that he doesn't have much longer. So we go up there, and we get into the room, and my mother says, "Well, I want to go find a nurse or something to see how he's doing, to get an update and what's going on." So she leaves me alone in the room, and this has never happened. This is the very first time I saw an aura, and I didn't even know what I was looking at. So obviously he's laying in a hospital bed, so it's all white. And all I can see around my grandfather was like this high off, like, let's see, yeah, maybe like this high off his head, like very close, like an inch up off his head. I'm trying to get it so you guys can see it, but an inch high off his head. I see, only way I can describe it is like a black magic marker, and somebody just drew a line just outlining his whole entire body. And I'm just sitting there just blinking because I thought my eyes were playing tricks at me. Why would I see a black line about an inch up off this body? I didn't even know what an aura was. Like I had an idea, but I never knew. So I thought that was odd. And when I left, obviously I looked it up online, and it said that was aura, and if it's black like that, it means it's showing somebody was close to death. Which I think, if I remember correctly, I think he passed away the very next day. Maybe it was the day after that, but it was like within 24 to 48 hours. But anyways, that was higher showing me, spirit showing me that he was getting ready to pass. And so that was the very first aura I'd ever seen. Now, the stranger part with this was because I asked so many people about this, and nobody's ever heard of this one. Was one time, not one time, just shortly after that. So my mother comes back in the room. She's like, I didn't find anybody. So I step outside with her. Well, this guy, we end up seeing this guy, and my mother stops to talk to him. That's what's going on. It was at a VA hospital. And he said, oh, actually, he was a nice guy. He said, oh, actually, I've been the one that was taking care of him at his house before he got too bad. And while he was talking to me, I was kind of like standing off to the side a little bit. So he was like standing close to a wall. My mom's facing him, and I'm kind of like off to the side. Well, I'm looking, in the back of his head, I swear to God, on the back of his head, there was probably like maybe, let me see, probably like this big of a circle, like a ring. And it was truly the most beautiful gold I've ever seen. So, you know how you see in pictures, you see in Halo over, like an angel's head, like over on top of the head. It wasn't on top of the head, it was behind the head, right behind here. Okay. And it was like this. It wasn't like that. It was flush with the head. It wasn't like this. It was like the ring was like where my hand is. That was the ring like this. Okay. Just from the back of his neck right here. I can't even describe you how beautiful this color gold was. I've never seen a color like this and how it shined. It was truly the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So again, I think I'm seeing stuff, okay? So I'm like moving, swaying, looking back and forth, like seeing if it's an illusion, honestly, if I'm just seeing it. And the more I sway, I can see the back of his head better. It looks even better. I can see it more clearly than, being half on the side of him, only seeing the corner of it, because that's kind of what caught my eye. So I had no idea what that meant. I really think he was the human angel. And he's going to have great things happen to him when he crosses over. I'm not 100% sure what it means, but I kind of have an idea. So anyways, I also had to look that up too. I had to look up the thing with the black aura, then I had to look this thing up too. But that was a little bit harder because I really couldn't find anything anywhere and any spiritual websites or anything. The only thing that I seen when I Googled it was that way back in time, they said this artist said that the reason why people would paint halos on the back of the head, like the big disc ones on the back of the head, was because great prophets used to be able to see halos on the back of other healers' heads and spirit in this, angel realms. They could see them behind the head. And so the reason why that they would put them on top in the picture so people could see them. And I was like, oh my gosh, did I get my answer from an artistic view of a version that he's heard? I couldn't believe it. But honestly, that's the only thing I ever found. And that actually makes sense in why they draw the halos on the top of the head the way they do. So you know how you see the gold ring on top of the head? Well, it was gold like that, but it was in the back of the head. And the people used to draw the big disc-shaped ones in the back there because they couldn't really show the back of the head. You wouldn't see it. So that was a very strange experience to me too. And some of these things I haven't shared with too many people. Not people I know anyways, I should say. I have shared them with people, just not people I know. So those are a couple experiences I had there that really got me, really truly. That last one is when I was just starting on my path I am now, but that really like kickstarted because I had more and more questions. I can see auras. I can feel energy. So that was a lot of work. And this is a part I didn't tell you. So since I was a kid, and it happened mostly around my teenage years, but since I was a kid until I decided to open up and follow my faith and the path I'm on now, I always had strangers come up to me, and complete strangers say, I have to tell you something. Somebody's, is telling me to tell you that you're gifted, and you need to pay attention to that. And I would always laugh at them. Well, my oldest daughter, the last time it happened, she was, let's see. Oh, I had to have been in my early 30s. Okay. So it was probably, I'm going to be 48 this year. So I was probably like 32 or something at the time when this had happened. And this was the very last time somebody came to me, and always started the same way. Somebody walking down the street, they turn around, come back. Wait, I got to tell you something. Somebody's telling me to tell you something. You're gifted. And, so same thing. And this is the first time it ever dawned on me. My oldest daughter's like, Mom, do you realize that strangers come up to you all the time and tell you the same thing? I'm like, yeah, I know. It doesn't mean anything. And that was when I was very, very in the very beginning of my path. So, it's all these, I think it's like all these little things that happened that, really led to me to where I am today. And after that was when I really started studying and paying attention, and finding the Pagan Spirits Church I'm in now. I had a mentor before I went to that church too. And right after that, that was the last time anybody's ever came up to said that to me. And I think it's because I finally got the hint. Except for one time, I went to go see a shaman lady. She was awesome. I loved her. We ended up becoming friends. So I went to go have a reading at some little shop. And, you're like rent a space or whatever. So I went to go see her in this little shop. And I ended up staying there for 2 hours getting a reading. Actually, we just ended up chit-chatting. And she ended up coming to my house afterwards, and we would chit-chat. And she'd actually came and asked me questions. And so I went to have the reading to her. As soon as I walked in, she's like, do you know you're a shaman? It's like, no, I'm not. I still won't call myself a shaman to this day, just so you know. But anyway, she's like, do you know you're a shaman? I'm like, no, I'm not. She's like, you're gifted, and people have been telling you that for a long time. I said, yes, you're right. And she said, you have two jobs. You have your awake job, and then you have your sleeping job. You astral plane. Now, at this point, I've heard of astral planing, but I didn't even know if it was really true at this point. I've heard people talking about it. I didn't know. I was kind of still on the fence. Is this true? Is it just dreaming, or are these people just really crazy? So, in this time, at the same point, I was starting to learn how to meditate. So she kept saying to me this to me over and over and over and over again. And she says, she gave me her phone number. Actually, she followed me after a couple hours. She followed me outside of my car, and she gave me her phone number. And she's like, I want to talk to you again. She's like, I want you to, when you figure out what it is, I want you to come back and tell me. I said, okay. And I told her, well, actually, I'll come back in 2 weeks, because I asked when she's coming back again. So every night for a couple of weeks, I asked my spirit guides before I went to sleep. Oh, wait, the reason why I asked my spirit guides every night for 2 weeks, because not only did she say that I was a shaman, that she also told me that I had spirit guides are always with me. And I didn't know my spirit guides at that time. I knew I had spirit guides, but I didn't even know I had two. So when I was done with her, I went and sat. Oh, actually, before I left, she walked me outside because my mother went to have the reading after her. So she was there for a long time waiting, chit-chatting with the other guy doing readings, and the owner of the store. So when I'm done, and the only reason why we stopped is because the lady came in and stopped us, like the owner of the shop. She's like, does she realize how much her bill's going to be? But anyways, my mom, when she went in to go get her reading, which was the normal time, there was a guy out there who did astrology, and he was asking me questions. First he said, can I tell you something? I said, what? He said, you have two spirit guides behind you, a boy and a girl, and they say that you don't listen to them. I said, okay. that's basically the same thing this lady just said to me. There's no way he would have known this. And he kind of said the same thing as she did, plus other things, without even, knowing what she had said. There's no way that he could have heard. So anyhow, I come back to this lady a couple weeks later, and I said to her, well, I meditated every night. So at first, I ended up having, when I was meditating, I had a dream, and I saw it said Shauna, and because I was going to dream every night trying to find out who my spirit guides were. So I want to know their names. So Shauna's coming up, okay? And Shauna comes up in red letters, and then it starts like spinning and then flipping and spinning and flipping, and then it stopped into shaman. And then she said, if you feel like you need to know my name, you can call me this. And it was Shauna. And I was like, she's like, I never lived on this plane. So anyhow, and then I found out who my other spirit guide is, who has lived here. His name is Gabriel, but we call him Gabe. I call him Gabe. But anyway, so they kind of have their two different things. Like he's kind of one that knocks me in the head, but he's, come on, pay attention to life. And she's more my spiritual one. Well, anyways, so I woke up the next morning and I'm like, Shauna, I said, wait, but what did it say when it was spinning around? Because you kind of have foggy brain. You don't really remember exactly. So I got a piece of paper and I flipped the letters around. I said, oh, it says shaman. I just flipped them around a little bit and flipped over the W and it spelled shaman. I still don't think I'm a shaman. I am a Reiki master and a faith healer. But I wouldn't call myself a shaman. But anyways, but I do think it was their way of saying that I was on the right path. That shaman in many different cultures is called by many different names. Okay, so some people just call them healers, some people call them witches, and some people call them shamans, and we can get into other things about all the different names throughout different cultures. So I think I'm at where I need to be in my life path, and I'm very happy about it. So I think it was my guide's way of letting me know where I need to be. Do I think my journey's done? Nope. I still have a whole many questions and still want to learn a whole bunch of more stuff along the way, because you never stop growing or learning in your spiritual path. But those were a couple of little things on why I started my journey today. I know those are some crazy stories I just told you. I don't know if I would even believe them if somebody told me. Well, nowadays I would, because I truly learned at that time not to doubt. Oh, wait, there's one part I didn't tell you. I went back to see her 2 weeks later. And I told her, I told her about the shaman thing. And a part of me, she's like, see, I told you. But part of me was still thinking, like, well, what if that only happened because you put that idea in my head? And then, but I'm like, I would never known that Shauna flipped, twisted, spun around would end up being a shaman. Like, there's no way I ever would have came up with that. So that's still strange to me. But anyways, I said, well, listen, I ended up having a dream one night. And so when I have dreams that are going to come true, or if it's a vision, actually, and if it's in my sleep state, when I have visions come to me, it looks like tunnel vision. And so even if it's up close, it seems like it's far away. And my guides always stand behind me and they kind of like point, like, listen, this is what you need to look at. Not so much anymore, but more when I was on my very beginning of my journey. Actually, Shauna used to hold up like an eraser board and write words on it because I wouldn't pay attention. I'm telling you, I am my own worst enemy of self-doubt and everything. So she used to write words like, here, pay attention to this. And once I started paying attention to signs and symbols and different omens and stuff, that doesn't happen anymore either. But so I was having this tunnel vision one night, and there was a man on the edge of his bed just sobbing into his face, and I see me over him saying, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, everything's going to be okay. And then that was the end of my dream. So I know my guys show me that. And so I went back to this lady and I tell her what I seen. And I said, I don't really understand this dream. And I explained to her what happened. And I said, I know you said I astral plane, but I don't think I astral planed. And she's like, well, how do you think you got there to help him? I said, I don't know. Maybe it was just a dream. And she's like, cut it out. Basically, she's like, cut the crap. Like, stop self-doubting yourself all the time. She's like, you astral plane at night, and I bet you feel tired all the time and you always feel exhausted, like you don't ever get enough sleep. I said, yes, actually I do. And she's like, because that's your astral planing. So anyway, so I guess your astral plane too. Actually, I know I have. I just flung my pen. Oops. So I have a sweatshirt pocket. I get nervous, so I'm all antsy. So I know an astral plane. Now I do. So let me tell you what happened. So the place I live now, we've been here 12 years. And one of our ceilings is kind of like the top of it was like it kind of has like squishes in it. It doesn't have any rhyme or reason. It's just in patches on it, and it's kind of ugly. But anyways, we're painting it tomorrow, so it hopefully makes it look a little bit better. But anyways, when I first moved in here, I was taking a nap and it was in the afternoon, and I fell asleep. And every time I closed my eyes, I felt myself go, whoop. And I was seeing this weird looking thing, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, that really looks familiar. But every time it happened, I'd freak out, and then I'd wake up for a split second, and then I'd go back to sleep, and then I could feel myself go whoop and look straight up at the ceiling, like this close from the ceiling, go whoop. So I finally get up and I'm like, what does that looks familiar. And I get up and I'm looking all around, and in my dining room, sure enough, I'm like, oh, that's what I kept seeing. So that was another way my body let me know I do really astral plane. I know I do now. But anyways, I was still on the fence. Like, I knew I did it, but I never felt myself or seen myself do it. But I don't know if that makes sense. But anyhow, but that was kind of confirmation too, because I was looking straight up on my ugly ceiling from the next room. It's like a body went whoop. But anyhow, those are a couple creepy stories that I figured I'd share with you. And most of them I've never shared with anybody. Some of them with strangers, because I really wanted to know the answers, and they still didn't have them for me. So honestly, if anybody has an answer or an idea, share it with me, because my name over here says Reverend Iris, and I'm from a pagan spiritual church. And because I can see spirit doesn't mean I'm all knowing and I know everything, because that's far from the truth. But anyways, I hope you guys have a beautiful night. I guess I really didn't get to practice anything I planned on here because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to have to look it up. So I hope you guys have a great night. And if you watch this stream, please, please, please give a thumbs up and subscribe, and show me some support. Give me a message just saying, hey, so I know you've seen it. So I hope you guys have a beautiful night. And it's 1:30 morning, so I've been on here for like a half an hour. Blessed be. Now I got to figure out how to shut it off.